Well, in a major move tonight, House Republicans say they will not give Congressman Steve King any committee assignments in the new Congress. That's after he wondered aloud to the New York Times, and I'm quoting, "White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization, how did that language become offensive?" Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell today said that King's comments were, quote, "unwelcome and unworthy of his elected position," unquote. Newly elected Republican Senator Mitt Romney said King should flat out resign. Sutherland Strafati joins us right now with the very latest. So what does this mean so he gets no committee assignments? Effectively, what does that mean?
Well, this essentially strips him, Anderson, of a lot of his power up here on Capitol Hill and amounts to the first real reprimand of Steve King, notably coming from members of his own party. This was something that was voted on unanimously from members of the steering committee. Those are the Republicans that are essentially dole out the committee assignments. And tonight they said no assignments for you, Steve King. That was announced in the last hour by the House leader, Kevin McCarthy. But notably here, it does not go as far as many Democrats up here on Capitol Hill are calling for a central resolution. This is something very rare, very embarrassing, very cutting for any member of Congress. Does not go that far, but certainly it does have teeth. King was a member of three committees: agriculture, he's a member of the Small Business Committee, and most notably the Judiciary Committee, where he stood to be ranking member of a subcommittee. So that perhaps is where it hurts the congressman the most. Now tonight, Steve King is responding. He's criticizing this move by his party. He says it is a political decision that he says ignores the truth. Anderson, he continues to say that his comments were taken out of context. All
right, Sutherland Strafati, thanks very much. With me now is Dr. Cornel West, a professor at Harvard University and professor emeritus at Princeton University as well. First of all, Dr. West, your reaction to the congressman being stripped of his upcoming committee assignments. Is that enough?
Well, I think it's a positive thing to see the Republican Party say something against the vicious legacy of white supremacy, both present as well as past. You know, Steve King has called precious Mexican brothers and sisters dirt. That seemed to me to be good reason for him to be punished. He said some other very ugly things. He's had the Confederate flag right there in his office, even though Iowa fought on the side of the Union. So he's got some real fascinating moves and justifications to make there. But the important thing is this, though, Brother Anderson, that we should never confuse a particular villain with a larger tradition. The white supremacy is a larger tradition. It takes a number of different forms. I'm a little disturbed by some of the liberal self-righteousness because white supremacy has liberal versions. It has leftist versions. Some of my leftist comrades still have to deal with racism. It has centrist versions. It has right-wing versions. It has fascist versions. Same is true with male supremacy. Same is true with anti-Jewish hatred, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab hatred. We have to keep track of these as moral issues that have political consequences. So we shouldn't think that by reprimanding one individual that somehow the Republican Party has cleansed itself of its racism. And I would say similar things for the Democratic Party. They're on a certain kind of crusade that's Manichaean, and I'm with them when they're critical of white supremacy, but they've got a white supremacy inside of their own ranks in the liberal mode. So we have to understand white supremacy is an evil that's shot through all of us. We have to come to terms with it. I don't like this sense of somehow we have one villain, and once we extricate the villain, lo and behold, we can go on in business as usual. We're seeing this right now in the White House. I mean, Trump looks like the tyrant in Plato's Republic. Increasingly, he's isolated, he's still manipulating, he's highly desperate, and he'll do anything to survive. Well, he is going to go. You remember you and I talked about this months ago when I said he's going to meet his match in Mueller. And he's going to meet it. Once that report comes out, even to the degree to which it's half transparent, Trump's gangster activity will be revealed. But the question will be,
go ahead.
How will we keep alive the mechanisms of accountability so that our self-righteousness won't allow for thinking that somehow that same kind of corruption won't happen on all the various sides?
I mean, it's a reminder for everybody to continue to look at their own behavior, look at their own words, and
vigilant.
You know, be
Absolutely.
Vigilant. It was interesting to me that I mean, look, Steve King has said a lot of racist things for a very long time. I found it odd that it just hit the wording of this, that, you know, when did the term white supremacist become, you know, a negative term? There was never a time when the term white supremacy or white supremacist was a positive term. I mean, I don't understand even just the formation of the alleged question that he asked the Times.
No, but I think we have to keep in mind, my dear brother, that white supremacy was the norm.
Yeah, of course.
For hundreds of years. And at that moment, in those particular instances, white supremacy was a positive thing. The schools that Stephen King went to probably taught him white supremacy was the norm, is natural, black people are inferior, brown people are inferior, and he accepted it uncritically.
But
well,
it wasn't
numbers
right
of
then.
Americans
I mean,
did that.
Just because he was
Oh, no,
told it
we
was
know
right then,
morally
but
and
we know
spiritually it's been evil, but that evil has been at the center for a long time. And see, this is one of the challenges for the Congress. I mean, if Congress were to punish every racist, it'd be a much smaller collective body, my brother. And that's not just racism against people like me, black people, but against brown people and yellow people and red people and so forth and so on. So the question is, how do we bring the pressure against Trump, make sure that he's accountable, I hope even be able to push him out of office, but then allow for people who are going to be honest enough with themselves and others to be persons of integrity, persons who are willing to call a spade and willing to call what is right, what is right.
Well, one also has to remember that Congressman King has been voted into office multiple times, and that this
exactly.
He's not like grown out of a petri dish. He has a lot of people behind him who have supported what he has said time and time again.
And you and I mean, you know, we're glad to hear what Brother Mitt Romney said today in terms of it's time for him to go. But we know when Mitt Romney was running 2012, he went to Iowa and said, he's my man. I can't wait to work with him. He's a good guy. Well, come on, Mitt. I'm glad you're taking a stand today, but in 2012, has Steve changed that much? That's why people are so cynical about politicians. Too many of them will say anything. We want to know what they really feel inside. What kind of morality and spirituality do you really have when it's unpopular to tell the truth, not just to win the next election?
It's also interesting that, you know, censure, which is a more extreme punishment, which is a lot of House Democrats are calling for, that as of yet has not been agreed to. I mean, you would think of all the things, why not? I mean, how can you not censure somebody who has said this, who is, you know, one of the top leaders in America?
Well, it's true. I mean, when you look at the silence in the face of Trump's misogyny, his white supremacy, his the ugly language that he's used across the board, how many of those Republicans have raised their voices in that regard? And I think, again, it's going to be a question of a kind of moral and spiritual awakening around the fight for truth and justice that relates not just to issues of racism. It has everything to do with poverty. It has everything to do with wealth inequality. It has everything to do with a foreign policy in which Africa and which Asia are still viewed as somehow less significant, counting much less than lives in other parts of the world. This is a larger issue that we're wrestling with, my brother. But I do want to say I'm glad that the Republican Party has finally said that, lo and behold, the white supremacists ought to at least be published in some way, be punished in some way.
Dr. Cornel West, always good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you take care. I want to check.
Hi, everyone. My name's Mike. I'm the creator of Mox News. And for the last 15 years, I have been telling you that as long as I have the support of the community that I serve, Mox News will post videos forever. And that's the truth. As long as I have your support, no one could ever make me stop. Unfortunately, currently, less than 1/2 of 1/10 of 1% of Mox News viewers ever donate, tip, or contribute anything back. Again, let me make that really clear. Much less than 1/2 of 1/10 of 1% ever give anything back. And to those of you who have donated to Mox News, I want to thank you so much, because it's because of your generosity that we have been able to bring attention to important videos that millions and millions of eyes would have never seen. And I think that that's an amazing thing that we've been able to make happen together. And I can't thank you enough for helping me make that happen. So it's not too late. If you'd like to see Mox News covering the 2020 presidential election, if you can't imagine the 2020 presidential election without Mox News, please, there's still time. You can make a difference. It's easy to make a contribution, donation, or tip. You can go to moxnews.com, or in the text body of this video, there are clickable links to the Patreon page or to the PayPal page. And again, it should take less than 2 minutes to make a donation, and your donation can make a big difference. So I thank you all. Stay cool. One of these days this war is going to end, and it would be awesome if Mox News could be there to celebrate that day with you.